the last three films you did, The Fighter, Silver Linings Playbook, and American Hustle, all won you Academy Award nominations for directing and a couple for writing as well, and they were all nominated for Best Picture. So with that kind of thing going on, what was the reason for doing Joy? What made you want to do this picture as your next one after having that?
I aspire to create stories that take on new ambitions, and starting with The Fighter, women had become progressively important in each of the pictures. With Jennifer, with all the ladies, all the sisters in The Fighter, and the mother, Melissa Leo, to Jennifer in Silver Linings Playbook, who was a 20-year-old, unknown when we started, and virtually, and The Hunger Games had not come out yet. And then American Hustle, she and Amy Adams, sort of as very interesting characters, and now one where the woman's at the center of it. And there's many different kinds of women in the picture, including Isabella Rossellini, and that is fascinating to me. But to make it about the soul of a little girl from when she's 10 years old, and what made up her psyche, and what can happen to a dream, and the cicada metaphor of being hidden from yourself for 17 years, and what will make you while remaining loyal and loving, and the beauty of that story and the heartbreak that along the way was a sizable thing for me that I'd never done before, that included soap operas, which was part of her mother's world and part of her psyche, and also included her dreams. So it was an ambitious thing cinematically for me to do that about the soul of a woman and the men who were part of her journey with the other women. So, yeah.
It's a true story. You've taken some different roads on it, but Joy Mangano was noted as an executive producer here. So a lot of this happened, and you spent a lot of time with her, right?
I spent a lot of time on the phone with her. I didn't want to meet her in person because one of the first things I said to her, that Jennifer and I were brought this project by Elizabeth Gabler and Jim Giannopoulos, and we said we want to do what we want to do with it, which is we want to turn it into a fable that is lifelong. So we used some of them, as in many of the crazier things are true. The gun range, Texas, California, the 900 number with the girlfriend who banks everything, the unanxious presence in the room, the mother with the soap operas, and the guy from Detroit who makes it all possible, and the best divorced couple in America, as well as for me, and the sibling who is a friend but also an adversary. Without these adversaries and fairy tales, you can't become what you're meant to be. So the adversaries are very important. Joy, I had many phone calls with her. She thought I was psychoanalyzing her. It was all those details. It was all those details that she thought were meaningless that I seized upon. All those wild details like the gun range and what soaps her mother watched and what her grandmother was like and how she supported her and how her husband lived in the basement and how it happened on a boat and all this stuff.
Diane, you are the positive force here. You really are for Joy. You're rooting her on against all odds there. And that's a great character to play, I would think, too.
The privilege to play and inspire, which we don't see a lot in movies today, guys. Not only the film, but to be the person to tell her was important for me, to tell her that she could do anything she put her mind to. Because to be honest, when I was a little girl growing up, my father was a veterinarian in Mississippi. He was a kind, good man that took care of dogs and cows and hogs. And so to be able to use some of myself, because my father said to me, as a little girl, Diane, by God, don't you ever forget, child, you can do any damn thing you put your mind to, as long as you stick to it and work hard. And the harder you work, the luckier you are, unless it's something that God doesn't want you to do. And if he doesn't, he'll let you know soon enough so you won't waste your time. And I do want to say, though, for myself, as the narrator, I couldn't have done it that way if it hadn't been for David. Because for me, as an actress, the narration part of the film, which originally I was not the narrator. This came later. After I'd finished the film, it was a decision that they brought me back in. And to do the narration, David guided me totally. I had to lower my voice to a low level and a constant voice and keep the energy in a straight river flowing. And also at the same time, to put my heart and soul into it was one of the hardest performances I've ever had to do in my life. And I could not have done it if it wasn't for this genius director, for which I'm very grateful. That's all.
Wow. Oh, Bradley, it looks like he's an old-style movie mogul with this newfangled thing, on of the home shopping network. He just believes it all, and it comes through in your performance, in your eyes, a lot of it too. Watching this thing and the way the set goes around, and that must have been something.
That was fun. I mean, it was a privilege too to play a guy who thought outside the box. He comes from Detroit. He managed Kmart stores, and now he's trying this idea because a guy named Barry Diller gave him a shot, and now he has the opportunity to give this woman Joy a shot. And so to play a character that is along the way of her odyssey and allows her to then, fulfill that 17-year-long cicada, package that she hasn't been able to unearth that was great.
He has an odyssey theory. Tell your odyssey theory. I like your odyssey.
What about the movie?
Yeah.
What do you mean? That she visits all these different. It's like the Odyssey, really, the movie in a lot of ways, because she starts out with the family and then goes on the boat, and goes. Then
she's handed off from Robert De Niro's metal shop world and the mother soap opera world and the sister. She's handed off to Édgar Ramírez's singing world, based on a true character, and from that world she's handed off to this man's world, to the Emerald City, and then from there she has to go make her bones in California and Dallas, while still being true to who she really is at the end, as a tender-hearted person with some magic in her.
Wow, who knew you were making an epic? That's it's great. It's great. Now, Virginia, I must say it's very realistic. I'm assuming you don't watch soap operas that religiously, or
I still do.
You do.
Well, there's not very many of them on any longer, but I still watch them because it's kind of like it just makes me relax. I started watching them when I was a little girl, and I was especially obsessed with Susan Lucci, and was kind of like a 10-year-old when I met her in the van going to the set. And it was, they were stars to me, and their acting style reminded me of silent pictures. And they were kind of bigger than life, and I knew that they worked so hard and had to memorize, 30 or 40 pages a day. And I started sort of like kind of obsessing and meeting them, and there's several of them that became my friends from All My Children and General Hospital, and so it was really wonderful to see them coming onto this movie set because they're such underappreciated actors, but the thing is, if you're good on a soap, you're probably really, really good. And so what a thing it was for them to be brought into David's world and to be on a movie set finally, how much they had all dreamed of this. And then, still playing soap opera characters, but David, you didn't make fun of them. He made them these bigger-than-life characters, but here they were in a place where they could really be appreciated, and it was a great thrill for me to be in the scenes with them.
This is unconventional in movies that I haven't seen. The friendly divorce, and he lives in the basement and is in business with her, and still is. And this is all true in real life. To get to play that must have been kind of special for you.
Yeah, it was very special. We've been discussing in other gatherings. It's a dynamic that we don't see very often in films, and I think that when we fall in love, it's the deepest aspiration is for this love to last forever, and I think that when true love really hits and we have the resources to make it work, the fact that one aspect of that love doesn't work doesn't necessarily turn it into a failure, and that's something that we see in this couple, and it's very refreshing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see that a relationship that an unconditional love, that relationship based on unconditional love, can really take different forms. And become fraternal in the way we see in the film, and that is very beautiful. And I've also, as we were discussing earlier, for me as an actor to be able to play a character that I've said to David, I'm very grateful, because it's one of the most courageous character that I've ever played, because in a society where the macho mandate and the macho normative society, it is very refreshing and very beautiful and actually pure zeitgeist to see a character, a man that without any reservation, without any hesitation, freely, humbly, and without compromising any inch of his manhood, is willing to stand by, to support, and to celebrate the strength and the determination and the decisions of the woman that he loves, and the mother of his children. And that for me was beautiful. It was beautiful to play something like that. And being a feminist that I am, and having a mother and having a sister, who have struggled and have gone through their own personal struggles, it is very beautiful to see a relationship that can turn into that way, and without making any political statement about it. It's beautiful that in a movie that is so moving and so touching, you see that kind of you see a guy who's willing to serve the woman she loves, and that he loves, and that was very beautiful for me.
That's great. Yeah. Now, Elisabeth Rohm, we all know people like Peggy, and I actually had empathy for her because she's in the shadow of Joy, clearly, and she's feeling it, and she's almost, you almost felt like she was cheering for her to fail. And that's got to be kind of tough to play, actually, in some ways.
Yeah, I think, I personally relate to that person in the family dynamic that's, I am a stepchild, and I relate to that sort of that role, of feeling like there's the other child that's a priority, and at the same time, I feel like, what we really experience seeing Joy go through is overcoming the obstacles to her innate magic, and every one of us has that person or multiple people who just say, you can't do this, you're not good enough to do this, or discreetly or obviously are jealous or want to stand in our way. So we all have those people we have to overcome. And so to play Peggy, I understand the hurt that she would feel, but I also understand how each of us have to overcome those people in our family dynamics, and also in our work dynamics and our life dynamics,
But you also said what I just heard you say today, which was I'd never heard you say, which is that it came naturally because Jennifer.
Yeah.
Do I say that again?
Yeah, I think also there, having done 2 movies with Jennifer, I mean, I feel so vulnerable with her and automatically just have felt this, bond with her. But it takes a lot of vulnerability, I think, to play a sister relationship. And both she and I, have this ability to connect. But Jennifer, she has so much grace and so much magnitude and so much beauty and ease. There's this effortlessness with her. And so Peggy, myself, I can look at Jennifer, and Peggy looks at Joy and thinks, just this envy, of what she doesn't have. And so I think Jennifer and I, having known each other now for many years, like David and I, but, being able to access that together, I think is a sister relationship we all can relate to.
Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations on Joy, David.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay.
Thank you.